The European Commission, an unelected group whose aim is to build a United States of Europe with all the trappings of a unified state, has an interest in weakening individual governments and the influence of the democratic parliaments of Europe. It turns out that the evidence for central bank independence that was relied upon in the Maastricht Treaty derived from a single study that was commissioned by none other than the European Commission itself. Published in 1992 under the name One Market, One Money, the study purported to demonstrate that central bank independence led to low inflation. James Forder, an Oxford academic, has since demonstrated that this study was manipulated to obtain the desired result.
The story we're being told by the central banks just does not add up, and there is evidence that central banks work differently from what they would like us believe as to how they work.
The world over, central banks hold significant yet little understood powers. Often independent, unaccountable and obscure, central banks operate in the shadows, yet their actions affect us all.
Central banks in almost all countries worldwide, and the IMF has helped a lot in achieving this, they've become totally independent and in practice not accountable to any democratic institution, and accountability to parliaments is usually minor and in practice meaningless.
Whether it is the Bank of Japan, the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England or the European Central Bank, examples of central bank deception abound. In the United States in the 1920s, banks were encouraged to create money and give it to speculators. The resulting depression persuaded the freedom-loving Americans that a decentralized federal system without strong national controls could not work. In the 1990s, the Japanese were persuaded that their economic system, which had brought considerable prosperity and equality, needed to be changed into a so-called free market system. And while Japan's transformation was not yet complete, the central bankers struck again with an IMF-led raid on the Asian tiger economies. The present European debt crisis is yet another example of central bank deception. To create a public consensus for the need for structural reform, by purposefully creating a recession and then needlessly prolonging it, must constitute an abuse of power. Do citizens really want to be manipulated in such a costly and dishonest manner?